Do you feel that during the Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah season that you're more of a Grinch sometimes? You see all what's wrong in the world, you see the hardships, the difficulties, and you don't really want to be celebrating. This episode is all about how we can flip our hearts when all we see is darkness and difficulty.
Hey friend, do the daily demands of family life leave little time for self-care? Are you losing yourself in the process of caring for others? Are you ready to make self-care and healthy boundaries a natural part of your day while embracing your roles as a wife and mom? Well, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Christina, married 17 years to a neurodiverse man, mom of 3 neurodiverse kids, and many more roles. Welcome to the Moms in Neurodiverse Families podcast. Get ready to begin your self-care journey. Grab your planner and listen in as we take another small step towards a peaceful, healthier you.
As we jump into week number 4, discussing how do we keep our mental and our physical health at its peak as much as possible as we're going to the holiday season, I want to highlight the self-care coaching that is now available to you, either as an individual session or as a sprint if you want to focus on 8 weeks on your self-care. Maybe this is something you're looking at into the new year, that you can go to my website, ChristinaMariePapery.com, and under coaching, you will find more information about that. So a quick recap. Episode 46 was our week 1 of keeping our sanity and our health, and that was focusing on water. Week number 2, which is episode number 47, was about adding magnesium and probiotics into our regimens and the impact it would make. Week number 3, episode 48, all about movement and walking and how we can incorporate it even in those really, really hard moments. Holiday season, as we discussed before, many of us enjoy the holidays, but at the same time, it can be very painful, either past memories of how difficult things were, which brings triggers and stresses. It's the anticipating problems with food or with clothes, because obviously foods are different during the holiday season. And for some kids, that's tricky. All that stress, we can walk into the holidays with all those memories right there with us as if they are happening in that moment. And I remember a season a long, long time ago when the kids were very little where I felt like the Grinch. Like everywhere I look, it felt like the world was gray and black. It's hard to describe, but literally it felt like everything was just sad. And I wasn't depressed, but I was feeling not much hope. The challenge of a neurodiverse marriage, the challenges of raising neurodiverse kids, and I felt my heart grew 2 sizes too small, to be honest. I kept seeing all the things that were hard and wrong, and it seemed it's impossible. And when you continue to look at your world that way and listen to your thoughts that way, it's going to be a snowball, and not a good kind of snowball. It's going to be rolling up into a bunch of just more sadness. And I remember when November came around that year and I saw all this gratitude challenges, 30 days of gratitude posting, and I began participating in it because I thought, well, I love Thanksgiving. I really love Thanksgiving. And it was my way of kind of saying to others like, hey, stop trying to shove Christmas into, try to stop pushing Thanksgiving out and pushing Christmas in. And while I think there's a way for us to enjoy both, I really want to enjoy Thanksgiving. And so I made a conscious effort to begin writing down what is one thing I'm grateful for. And I remember the first 3 days I did that, it was really hard. Like I'm talking, I would sit there for 5 minutes, just sitting going, okay, what am I grateful for? What do I appreciate? And I just sat there, and that's when I realized that is wrong, Christina, because as a person of faith, the Bible is very clear about how we should have hearts of thanksgiving and we should have gratitude and be able to give praise for what the blessings that we have. And when I realized that, there was this little like click in my brain. And I got pretty stubborn. It's like, nope, I'm sitting here until I find one thing that I can be thankful for. I believe I began something very simple, and it was something about outside the nature, I believe. I can't remember exactly how I began, but it was something that was outside of my situation that I was just very thankful for. And then each day, again, the first 3 days were pretty hard. I began writing down, what am I appreciating? What am I grateful for? And over time, it began a change. It's almost as if color TV came back into my life again, and I began seeing things differently. That was humongous. So if you are there where everything seems to be muted and gray and all you see are the challenges and the hardships, well, this week 4 of preparing for the holiday season is especially for you. And we're talking about gratitude, appreciation. Those terms can almost be used in hand, but our hearts having a attitude and looking for what we can appreciate and be grateful for in our world. So why is this important? I didn't find this out until many, many, many years later, and how having gratitude, having appreciation is vital for us to feel joy and for us to feel peace. I'm going to read a quote here from Building Bounce. This is a book by Dr. Marcus Warner and Stephanie Hinman on page 13. It states, the practice of appreciation should lead to both joy and peace. Sometimes we need to be quiet before we can appreciate. Sometimes appreciation helps us quiet. Appreciation is needed in order to train your brain to focus on what there is to enjoy in life. I'm going to read that again. Appreciation, or gratitude, thankfulness, is needed in order to train your brain to focus on what there is to enjoy in life. Staying in a state of appreciation for 5 minutes or longer, 2 or more times each day, is an important habit for growing the joy center in your brain. As you can see, the authors are highlighting how important appreciation is. The ability to appreciate, to be grateful, thankful, activates parts of your brain. And as my story highlights, that's what happened for me. In fact, after that experience, I saw a trend. This is going back, probably like at least 10, maybe 8 years ago, a Thanksgiving garland. I saw this on someone's blog, this beautiful paper garland that you'd see oftentimes for Christmas. And they had this pre-made strips that you just print off at home. It says, I am thankful for, I am blessed. And I printed it off and I cut them in strips, and I began a Thanksgiving garland. And we would write down what we're thankful for and the date and the year. And it's a little bit mangled now, but when we pull it out, it is so full of treasures of looking back and seeing the kids' handwritings where they're very little and saying, I'm thankful for mama, for dada. Seeing the scribbles, seeing the thankfulness of how God brought us through a financial hardship, a hard time. Looking back, and there is so much joy I get when I look through that Thanksgiving garland. And now later on to find out, like, oh, what I was doing was scientifically based. How if you're not a person of faith, this is science-based. If you are a person of faith, this is how God made the brain. So depending which perspective you hold there, but appreciation, gratitude increases your capacity to feel joy, but also it helps you have rest. So that's why it's important for us, is that sometimes, especially during this season, we do not feel restful. We do not feel peace. Yes, there's a lot of things going on, but sometimes, especially in our situations, it is so easy to see the hardship. It is so easy to see the lack, what I don't have, what we don't have. And I'm not talking about material blessings. I'm talking about how our marriages can be built differently. Our kids are built differently. And it's not bad. They're just different. And depending where you're at in your journey, in accepting the differences, not accepting bad behavior. Please hear me out. I'm not saying we accept bad behavior. I'm saying accepting the fact that how we thought our children and our husband would be, and realizing that they're strong in certain areas and they're weaker in others. There takes time to really adjust to it. But we can be so much in the lack that we don't see what we have, the blessings that we have. And that is where it can be detrimental to us, but also we're exempling that to our family. We don't want to pass around. It's a poison almost. So what do we do then? Again, going back to where I was at many, many years ago when all I saw was just blah, is one, just grab a Post-it note. And this is I'm going to give you a couple different levels of this. This is, I am in the trenches, Christina. I am barely able to keep things going right now. We're grabbing a Post-it note, folks. We're going super simple. A Post-it note that if you want to keep it private because maybe things are contentious with your spouse, if there is a cabinet in your kitchen you go into often, you can put that Post-it note up there and like only you're going to be the one seeing it, but you're going to find a spot you're going to put it on your fridge, on your counter. Maybe you have an area in your bathroom vanity, wherever. Keep a pencil or pen there, and every day you're going to write down one thing you are thankful for. One thing. And actually write down the date and write down what you're thankful for. And when you write it down, I want you to truly focus and dwell upon the gratitude and appreciation for that item. For me, I often feel this if I get up early in the morning, which I usually do, to watch a sunrise. And if it's a beautiful, clear sky, and I will watch that sunrise, or maybe the sunset may be easier for you. If you're watching that sunset and it is a beautiful color, there is just appreciation that naturally would come for me often, even in my hardest moments. Seeing that sunset, it would just make me smile. From my perspective, it was God sending me a little gift, something to make me smile in the midst of chaos going on. But I would step outside, close the door, and watch for 3 minutes, watch the sunset and the beautiful colors. I would notice the colors, spending time focusing on, oh, there's now more pink, more purple, getting my brain really engaged off of my circumstances onto something completely different, and writing down sunset. And maybe I put down what colors I noticed that day. Or it was beautiful, quiet and calm when I was outside watching the sunset. Put down some notes. And every day for a week, you are going to do that. Now, if you need to put an alarm on your phone, we're going to do an alarm. We're going to find a way, friends, for us to do this, to be focused on what we're grateful for. Now, let's go to the next step. Notebook. You have a notebook and you can be doing the same thing, and you're writing down every day. You write down the month, the date, and you just jot them down really quick. And you keep that notebook in a certain spot, a spot you oftentimes, maybe it's in a drawer that you open up almost every single day where you keep your keys, or maybe something else you keep there. You're going to see it and you're like, okay, and you're going to fill it out. Are you going to do it perfectly? Probably not. But which is better, not to do it at all or to do it imperfectly and to begin seeing a small change that happens over time? Again, the goal is not to get perfection. The goal is just to begin. And again, I'm talking about one thing every week that we're doing. So this may take some time to start, but this is definitely a habit I would highly encourage you to continue, especially in the hard times. Let's say you're like, Christina, you know what? I want to go to a higher level. So there are gratitude journals that you can purchase. There are many of them. I have gone, also, Hosanna Revival has 5-year prayer journals, and I have used that for my prayer requests and also for my praises and my gratitude all in one. And basically, when you open it up, there is a date. So there's 2 pages and there's a date. And there are spots on those 2 pages for 5 years. And maybe about 6 or 7 lines per year. And I am now into my 3rd year of doing this. And it is powerful when I look back and I see 2-3 years ago, some of the pits I was in and during certain points of my time. And I see like, oh my gosh, I got through that. God got me through that. I am a different person now. That it creates appreciation. And I would write down answered prayer next to that request I had written down 1 or 2 years earlier. And then as I'm writing down my current prayer request, I put a little maybe snippet of praise, thankfulness. Jesus, thank you so much that you have brought me this far. That's going to a very high level. Again, for some of you, you are not there. And I understand, I remember, and I hope you hear my heart. I was there. I can remember so much, especially when the sunset was the only thing I looked forward to for sometimes. That was the one thing I was like, oh, the sunset. Like that didn't demand anything of me. It didn't ask anything of me. The sunset, no matter what I did, it kept doing its thing. And I was able to just appreciate it. And slowly it grew. And the same can happen for you too. So if you are in that season where it's not just the holiday season that is causing stress, it is life itself. It's the normal ins and outs. I highly encourage you to practice this ability of having appreciation and gratitude. Eventually, it came to a point when I was able to start looking at my home situation and I was able to see, man, I'm really thankful my husband did this. I'm really thankful how my kids responded. Like, I appreciate how well they responded in this situation. And I was able to see things clear and realize, yeah, things are hard at moments, but there is also a lot to be thankful for. So I hope this gives you encouragement. I would love to hear if you have implemented any of these steps and what impact you noticed. I really do appreciate those messages you send me.
Hey, thank you for joining me today. I pray this episode gave you encouragement to take one small step. If so, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts to help other women find this show. By the way, if you're loving this conversation and want more encouragement like this, join my email list at bit.ly/myselfcare. That is bit.ly/myselfcare. I have a planner launching soon that will help you put all this into action in your own life. I look forward to chatting with you again next week for another episode.